Within 15 minutes after you have landed in Japan, you will learn that the people of Japan are an exquisitely well-mannered people, who live on a hopelessly overcrowded island. Consequently, their living space is very limited and so they do not have any privacy, yet the people respect people's privacy in a different way. Their courtesy serves a double function. They exhibit such polite behavior that their courtesy itself serves as a substitute for privacy. The writer supports his opinion with as an example. For example, he says, one finds red telephones in the streets, shops, halls of hotels, etc., and the instrument is placed on a table or a sea counter. They do not have space to spare for telephone booths. But any person can conduct his most confidential business transactions, even intimate love quarrels in public and in perfect privacy, without being apprehensive about any passerby overhearing you. The author emphatically says that the person's telephone receiver is his castle. The writer then gives his observations about the Japanese obsession with bowing. He calls it a mania because everybody keeps bowing to everybody else. He remarks that the people bow to each other with the solemnity of a courtier with a great deal of natural and inimitable grace. He comments that though bowing is like shaking hands or kissing the cheek, it is quainter, more formal and the more oriental but also infectious. Then he states that bowing is so commonly seen everywhere that even the onlookers start bowing, though not the right way as the Japanese do. We bow too deeply or not deeply enough, or we bow to the wrong man at the wrong time. Secondly, we do not clasp our hands in front of us, which is considered a bad way, or we may clasp the hands in a bad way which is considered even worse. Next, the writer tells us that the Japanese have a complicated hierarchy in bowing: who bows to whom, how deeply and for how long. Then the author cites an incident that happened in America. He tells us that in one of the American states, there was a traffic law which laid down that if two cars met at an intersection, neither was to move before the other had gone. The author uses this incident to tell us that, similarly in Japan, if two Japanese bows, neither is to straighten up before the other stands erect in front of him. Though it sounds a little complicated to us, the Japanese manage it without difficulty, and even the smallest difference in rank, standing, age, social position will be subtly reflected in that split second. One man's bow will be shorter than the other's. In many cases, there are clear-cut differences in position and no difficulties. According to the Japanese culture, the wife bows to her husband. The child bows to his father, younger brother to elder brothers, the sister bows to all brothers of whatever age. The author then recollects a sight he had seen in Japan, that of Japanese mothers carrying their babies on their backs in little saddles, and whenever their mother bowed, the babies bowed too. Then there are the bowing girls in Japanese stores standing at the top of escalators, bowing deeply and deferentially to everyone. Next, the writer narrates his experience on a fast train, Tokaido Line, between Tokyo and Osaka. He tells us that two conductors enter the carriage in a theatrical style, march to the middle of the coach, bow ceremoniously in both directions, and then start checking the tickets. Later, he narrates how even an animal like the deer do bowing. He tells the reader that in one of the parts of Nara Park is a vast wildlife park located in the city of Nara, Japan, at the foot of Mount Wakakase, where wild deer roam about freely. He bought a pack of food for deer. The deer came up to him, looked into his eyes and bowed deeply. The author states that it was not a chance gesture, but it was a proper and courteous bow. The author conjectures that the deer are more imitative, and having seen the people bowing all the time, probably they also get into the habit. Then he says it may be something genetic and is in the blood of Japanese deer. Finally, he ends the incident, saying that the deer, after bowing to him, jumped at him and snatched the little food bag from his hand. In a humorous tone, he tells the reader that the Japanese people who bow with such ceremonious serenity even at bus stops, exhibit flippant behavior. Almost in a humorous tone, he tells the reader that the Japanese people